yeah, that's it. Like, listening to Tate McRae is my way of feeding my soul.
Welcome to the Feed the Soul Company podcast, a space I've created to share my story and to encourage you to share yours. I'm your host, Liv Setla, and I can't thank you enough for being here. With me today is our first special guest, the Leah Hernandez. So Leah is a junior at Faith Lutheran, and she plays both basketball and volleyball. And I met Leah because her little brother, Eli, did a volleyball camp for UNLV, and I noticed him, and their dad came up to me after and asked if I did lessons, and then we did a lesson on the sand court, which at that moment I was like, this family is so awesome, because that sand court was like right by my house, and to them they didn't care what court, where we were. They were just going to come to me, and that was super helpful, me being a college student. Also, I think I was a sophomore at the time, freshman, sophomore. Yeah. So even I was still figuring out, how do I do life? And they made it super easy for me to coach them. And then after the first lesson, he brought Eli and Leah. And I remember you guys were awesome kids from the start. Like, just the way you addressed me, it was, I think you even said yes, coach, at one point. I was like,
probably did.
Girl, you don't need to call me coach.
That's probably something I would do.
But like, just awesome little kids. And I also love you guys so much because I see so much of you, like me and you, and then my little brother and Eli. And I say this all the time. Like, I literally said today, Eli needs to meet TQ. But they were so awesome. And from the first day, your dad said to me as a coach, like, hey, Leah just kind of gets in her head sometimes, and I was wondering if you could talk to her about that, say some things. And from that moment, I am so glad he did say that, because I really realized, like, you were my mini me. So Leah, tell me a little bit about yourself. Now that I've gotten the basics out of the way, tell the podcast who you are.
All right. So first of all, I would like to thank you, because I'm so honored. Like, actually, like, oh my gosh, like, this is so crazy. Like, I'm excited to be here. So I'm Leah. That's what I like to be called. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Like, when you first met me, I
need to say this right now. I'm acting like I say it all the time. I called her Leah for a solid year or 2 years. I don't even remember, but it was just Leah. And
well, also,
who told me it was Leah? Was it you, or it was Eli?
Well, it's because what happens is my brother likes to do the opposite what people do. So like, if a lot of people call me Leah, he calls me Leah. So like, people are like, what is it actually? And he's like, well, it's the opposite. So whatever you call her, I'll call her the opposite. Like,
little Eli, helping for you.
But my name is Leah. Like she said, I'm a junior. I play basketball for fun mostly now, because I quit to focus on volleyball. But volleyball is just my passion. I've been playing since I was in 5th grade, actually. My mom wanted me to try out for all the sports: swimming, track, basketball, volleyball. And volleyball became like that one sport that I was just like, oh my gosh, like, look at this. I think at the beginning was a rocky start, mostly because my mom like made me do all these sports. I'm like, what do I want to do? Like, I played the flute, I was in chess club. Like, there's so many things. And as a little girl, you're like, what is this? But I started playing in 5th grade. Basketball and volleyball, really the two sports I loved, but volleyball was the one that really stuck with me. I think volleyball changed my perspective, on friends. It showed me that communication is really a key thing. Anybody's like not personality, relationship. Volleyball, I don't say it defines who I am, but I think it's definitely a big part of my life. And but off the court, I'm both on and off the court. I feel like I'm very driven school wise. I feel like I'm very responsible. I'm kind, all those good traits that people have,
You got them, Leah.
Yeah, I'm not like saying I'm basic, but I'm a nice person.
I love that. I love
tooting
that.
my own horn,
You are
horn,
very,
you know,
you very,
like-
as you should, period.
But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. You know,
I love
I think
that.
family is very important to me. I think volleyball also, like, you have your team, which is kind of your family in a sense, because you have to
Absolutely.
have good chemistry. And I feel like family is very important on and off the court, you know. But yeah, that's me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Great answer. Even your little statement that you said, volleyball doesn't define who I am, but a big part of me. So another reason why I have you on this podcast. Yes, you're my little sister, but, and you even said it yourself, you're wise. Like, you are so wise for your age, and I think there's a lot of things that have happened and or experiences you've gone through that make you like that. And one, you're on here, yes, and I know maybe I have some guidance that I help you with, but I also am so excited to have you on here because I think there's so much other people can learn from you. And going into that, tell me, okay, so started playing sports at a young age, got into it because of your mom. What are some experiences that have kind of changed your life? What are some things that have happened that you've had to overcome?
So I guess, you know, let's get really deep and personal. So okay, so actually my mom, she was one of my main role models. I feel like she helped me, especially when I was younger, you know, because you're a kid, you don't know a lot of things. But my mom, she was very strong, and I feel like that's one of the characteristics I get from her. She had cancer. She lost her battle with cancer in 2019. So when I was in 5th grade, that's definitely something that's really rough, you know, especially for a young girl.
So how old were you when she passed away?
So I was probably like, I was like 10, 11.
Wow.
Leah. Yeah, I was in 5th grade. So it was definitely something where it's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, it's definitely something like very life-changing, but
absolutely,
it's very, it's something that honestly, grieving takes time. And, you know, grieving isn't a process you overcome. It's just something that you kind of live with, sort of. I mean, it's just something that you have to deal with. I mean, you get overcome with emotion, but that is something that I had to deal with. It's hard. I mean, you know, I think another reason why was just like, you know, because of your dad, you know.
Selfishly enough, one of the things that Leah and I have in
Yeah.
common, and also why I wanted to have her on here, it's because
Right.
You're a great individual, so strong. I see so much of myself in you, but also like I had a similar experience of losing a parent at a young age, and to like the space I've been in, it's like, oh, like how can anyone blame me for feeling or doing these things when I've done like something has happened that's so unimaginable to people our age. Let's talk about that, because I want to point this out. Like, you were 10 years old. Like, and hearing you speak about it is so incredible, because it sounds like, obviously, and I love this statement so much. It's not something you overcome.
Yeah.
You always feel it.
Right.
That's so huge.
Yeah.
Like, grief is something you can't explain to somebody.
Right.
That doesn't get it. And someone who also lost a dad early on in their life explained it to me as like this like terrible but like cool like dead dad's club. Right. And or like just the idea when you lose somebody, you're in this weird grief club. Yeah. And it's a weird space because it's like I felt what you felt. Right. It's not the exact same, because like you lost your mom. Right. And you lost your mom at a different age. I lost my dad. Yeah. So very different, but like, yeah. And how is that for you, I guess? And you talk so maturely, like about feeling your feelings, feeling your emotions. But how was that process for you at a young age? Wow. So or like, can you recall to like it just happening, and then also now when people say comments about something like that? So actually, I as a little girl, obviously, like there's different stages of grief. So there's acceptance, denial,
bargaining. I mean, those are the few that are on top of my head. There's
the labels for it.
Yeah, but so actually, I remember feeling like really like, oh my gosh, I lost my mom, like, you know, but I was still a little kid, you know, I was in 5th grade. We still went to school that day, my brother and I.
What?
Yeah, we went to school because I don't know what.
Tell me what you remember. Go, like, talk about the day.
It was just crazy because, you know, I actually, one of the first people I told was one of my best friends. And to this day, we joke about it because she kicked me out of the library because we were in there and I was like, oh my gosh, my mom passed away. And she was like, oh my God, that's so sad. You know, girl, I'm reading, it's cold. Can you like get out of the library? And see, the thing is,
what?
If we ask her today, she'll say like, no, it's because, you know, I didn't want to get kicked out and it was cold. Like I had reasons behind it, you know. But you know,
so whatever. She kicked you out of the library?
Yeah, she did.
Because she was trying to read, but you just told her that your mom died?
Oh my God, that's so funny. She like it's like a joke now because it's like we were young. Yeah.
Okay.
She's actually on my volleyball team. On my volleyball. She was actually on my volleyball team this season. So it was just funny overall. But it was just, you know.
There's so many, I have a similar story of like, this just happened.
Yeah.
It's so severe. In the moment, you're just kind of like, okay. But then looking back on it, it's like, what the heck? You're telling me that happened on that day? It
was just really funny. It wasn't funny, but you know, like everyone found out. Like it was just a thing.
Now it's funny.
Yeah. Now it's funny, and maybe some people was like, "Well, you just lost your mom."
What?
But
yeah,
you know. But I just remember as a little kid, you know, a big thing that I do remember was that on her funeral. So we had 2 funerals. We had one for friends, one for family. You know, very
intimate.
There you go. That's the word for it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a track meet that day. And as soon as the service was over, I changed into my track outfit. And everybody was like what are you doing? Like why are you changing? Like you're still going to like, you know, and I did not care. I didn't listen to anybody. I remember like I was crying during the service, but I just remember afterward, put my stuff on. I put my shoes on. You know, my cousin ran track in college, so she went with me and we got shoes together like a week before.
Mm-hmm.
I put on my shoes and I just ran around the parking lot. All I did. That's right after service. Like I remember right after the service and my dad's like, mind you, my brother and my dad were like near, like they were watching, like they were at my mom's grave, like, and I was running like a weirdo. Like I was just like, that's how much sports like changed my life. Like I feel like that's something, like being so active and so busy is something that really helped me. But that's a very, very unique story. I mean, there's I've met people who lost their parents actually that have similar experiences where they're like, I just want to block it out and focus on, you know. And it's funny because I was a little kid, so I was probably like 4'11", like a little girl, like putting my hair back. I'm like, I'm ready, let's go. And my whole, like, it's crazy because my whole family was like, whoa, what is this girl doing? Like they drove me, we all went for ice cream afterward. Like it's insane. But
that's funny.
That's a story.
I want to share my similar story. So the day of my dad's visiting the service, where basically it's in the funeral home.
Right.
I'm blanking the word for it now, and I'm gonna beat myself up later for it. The visitation.
Okay.
He's in his casket, open casket.
Yeah.
By the way, and I couldn't touch him. But that was the day of my prom.
Oh.
So.
Wow.
My prom, like end of COVID, so it was like still restricted. We could be outside, so we had an outdoor prom. It was in the downtown area of where I live, and down the street was the rest of my class, like all dressed up, everything. So that morning I got ready, wore like a black dress, and went to the funeral home. And I remember seeing everybody, and I got so excited because my uncle that I haven't seen in how many years, my basketball coach from 6th grade I haven't seen, my cousins from my family friends from California, everybody. I'm like so excited to see them. But then I have to like remind myself, like, Liv, they're here because your dad just died. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, like, I'm like, like, and
Yeah, you're like,
if you know me, like when I see
Yeah.
someone and I
You're
get
like,
super excited, I'm like,
yeah. Yeah.
but then I was like, oh, and they're
Oh,
like, I'm
wait.
so sorry. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
And it
that's
wasn't that
right.
I was like,
Yeah.
you know, like faking. I was just like genuinely so excited to see these
Mhm.
people. But then, so my cousins, I call them cousins, but they're basically they're
Yeah.
family friends, but they're family. So
Right.
cousins. We went back to my house after the visitation, and then changed into my prom dress. You know, down the street, I'm literally with my friends, my ex-boyfriend at the time, and then we literally walk down, do the prom thing, then turn the corner, and I'm walking toward the funeral home, and all of my family and friends, teachers, aunts, uncles, they like, I'm walking down the sidewalk like back to the funeral home, and they're like on the sides like cheering me on, and I felt like so weird. Like I was like, I don't really know what's going on, but yeah, so they were like cheering me on, and I'm in my prom dress. So like, and then similar story with sport being added to this. I didn't have any events that day, but around the same time, I don't know the exact timing, but my brother had a track meet, and my brother, I guess they're going for a record for the 400-meter relay, and that day, and my family friends that are close to us, shout out Josh Morrissey, who's my brother's coach and family friend. Shout out the Morrisseys, best family ever. But he was TQ's, my brother's coach, and they hit the record that day.
Wow.
And TQ was like, yeah, I did it for my dad. That wasn't the same day, but around that timing. So when you're talking about track, I was like, oh my gosh,
that's
like
crazy.
track, like connection there.
That's actually really crazy.
Yeah, I was like,
that's insane.
Wait, this girl.
Yeah, but no, that's insane. Yeah, like I 100% agree with you, because like as a little kid, you're like, what's going on? Like I can't even imagine. Like my brother's like same thing.
He needs
you
to
know?
get on this.
Yeah, because
how old was Eli at the time?
So he's 2 years younger. So if I was 10, he was 8.
He's only 2 years younger than you?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
I know, and he's taller than me now. Like
he's not little Eli
He's
anymore.
not here, guys, but my brother is taller than me. You know, so during volleyball practice, I found out I was 5'5", not 5'6". So
well, I found out the other day I'm 5'4", not actually 5'5". So it's a world we live in.
No. Gosh. Yeah.
I just love that comment you made about like sport being, because I think transitioning now, I talk a lot with you about, Leah, are you giving yourself enough time to rest? Because your schedule is so packed.
I mean,
tell me about like right now, like what you're doing in the summer, just as a summer day. Tell me about that Wednesday day or
Wednesday. I'll tell you Wednesday, because it was a pretty funny day.
Gnarly.
You know?
Oh, funny. Oh yeah, funny's your word. I like it.
Yeah,
funny.
That's how I describe things. You know, because like I don't think like cool or embarrassing. Like funny is perfect.
It's
like
funny.
I feel
like I always have to ask you. I'm like, okay, it was funny, but
what does that mean?
Yeah, now you need to tell me. Explain.
So normal, typical summer day. Like so, this year, you know, I'm gonna be a junior, and you know, my school, you're either on varsity or you don't play. So this year, I think my goal was really, you know, to get stronger this summer. You know, get my license, because I just turned 16. You know, all these things. But you know, so typical summer day. I have volleyball, because I'm actually going to nationals next week. For my club team.
Oh, for our listeners, what club do you play for?
Oh yeah, I'm play for Top Flight Volleyball Academy. I think that's what
Okay. Anyways, continue.
Yeah, but yeah, so I am on the 16s team, right? And our practice times vary. Varies? They vary? Yeah.
Vary.
Okay, there we go. And so normally, so let's say Wednesday, probably a typical day. I mean, I have open gym for school. And I have, so my dad, like last summer, we do sand outside with the club during the summer, you know, it's like clinics kind of, and then at night I practice. So, I mean, I'm not saying I have volleyball every day, but this week was a week where an example, I had practice every single day of the week, You know, I had practice Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I had Friday we had the fast fours with
Thursday, yeah.
or Thursday.
Yeah.
Gosh, today's Friday. Whew. And Tuesday, yeah, geez. And then Tuesday,
days are meshing together.
Right, Tuesday I had open gym with one of my brother's teammates. But Wednesday, you know, I woke up really, really early. You know, actually earlier than I would for school. So I woke up like at 6, and I went to play volleyball at 7 in the morning. You know, did that for 2 hours, and because it's Vegas, you can only do that for so long. You know,
yeah, and that's sand too.
Yeah, so it's rough. And then, you know, afterward, come home. I had like an hour to relax, and then I'd open gym for an hour and a half. And then I had a little break. You know, I'm doing summer school. I think it's important for me to, and I agree with my dad. You know, some people would say it's like crazy having like summer school. Last summer I had summer schools because I was failed a class. But you know,
happens. It's definitely
this year it's mainly because I think it's fun to have something like to do. Like obviously sometimes when I'm relaxing I'm like, oh, I have school, but I feel like it's a good healthy way to like if you're
keep going,
right. So then I did some schoolwork, you know, then I had practice from actually before that I had some driver's ed because like I said I'm trying to
throw that in there too.
And then
on top of being a athlete.
Right. And then had practice, you know, and I was pretty tired. So yeah, then I came home and I fell asleep because I was wiped out, you know. It's right. But you know, and it's always fun, you know, because 3 different practices with 3 different kind of people, you know, like sand is people that are just there, you know, to play, school people, and then there's my team. And we were scrimmaging the guys that day, so my brother was there, and it's always fun to compete against my brother because you know
he's pretty decent.
Yeah,
pretty decent at volleyball,
he gives me a run for my money. He's 13.
Oh, 13-year-old.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I didn't even think about that. That's such a great point you just made. Like I played with 3 different types of volleyball in one day with all these different types of people, so that definitely changes the mindset, the environment, and how you're playing.
Right.
And I love how you speak about it. Like it's fun, you know. I'm like practice to practice to practice, and I think something important to note is that, especially for athletes, it's like, yeah, obviously we do what we do because we love it. We're choosing to do this,
right?
But that doesn't mean we don't get tired or we don't feel exhausted after a long day, or we're like, oh. So you just took me through a typical summer day. Sounds pretty busy.
I am pretty busy.
So now tell me, in season, now when you have school, for what time do you start? What time do you end?
First for like volleyball?
Like school.
Oh, okay. So actually school for me actually starts later and ends later. So I start, so my school's actually really weird because like on Tuesdays.
Roughly what hour to what hour?
Okay. So I would say like 7:40 to about 2:45.
So yeah.
Every day.
Oof.
Except Tuesdays.
But that's high school.
That's high school. And then it would just depend. Like during school volleyball, right after I would have practice, we would never wait. It was always 3:30 to, I actually don't remember if it was 2 hours or an hour and a half, but it was always right after. Like practice started at 3:30. We had to help set up the nets, you know. And then obviously freshman year, it was later because we had to wait for varsity and JV to finish. But like this year, it was right after school. For club, it would just depend. You know, sometimes it was 3:30, sometimes it was 5:30, sometimes it was 7:30, you know? And it's insane because like, I don't know how like my teammates do it because, you know, I get cranky after like, if I only get like 6 hours of sleep, I get so cranky. But it's rough because like the days that it's 7:30 to 9:30, you know, you get home, like I live 30 minutes away from where I practice, roughly. And, you know, I come home and it's already 10. And you're like, okay, well, I had time to finish homework afterward, but I need to eat because, you know, eating ready for practice, you know. But then it's like you have to take a shower, and then like get ready for bed, and then the next day you have to wake up at the exact same time.
Do it all over again.
Right. So like the only thing about club is that club is 3 days out of the week, 3 or 4 days out of the week. Whether school's all week. But the practices are normally longer, and including with volleyball, club volleyball, there's weights involved. So like a special day for weights. But it's almost the same amount of work. I mean, it is what it is, but
long days.
Yeah.
Life of a club volleyball.
Yeah, I mean, it's not I mean, I've had it rough. I mean, freshman year I did JV basketball and I did club, you know, and I literally my whole week, it was Saturdays I had practice sometimes in the morning, and then I literally had school, and then I either would have volleyball and basketball or basketball and volleyball
every day.
Every about the 4 days out of the 5.
Well, yeah, obviously,
right.
Let's give ourselves the weekend.
Right, but
another reason why I want you on here also because that was my schedule too in high school. I did the JV basketball, go to club practice for volleyball, and it was practice after practice, and then come home at 10 o'clock at night, and then it's okay. Well, instead of downtime, you have to do homework and eat and do all the necessities of a normal human being.
Right.
Okay. With that being said, with the timing of everything, I hated this question in high school. Now I can answer it a little bit better because I've gotten a little older. I'm at a different point in my life. But someone, or like an icebreaker question, such a dumb question. So it just, I won't say dumb, such a simple question.
Yeah.
But for me, I was like, I hate this question. It's, what do you like to do in your free time? And I'd always go, what free time?
Yeah. Like
what free time? But that's really what Feed the Soul is about. So like in the time that you were not grinding, grinding, we love it. It's super fun. It's our sport. But in the time that we're not being asked to be at practice, how do you kind of decompress, take what limited time you have in so that you're able to get up the next day and do it all over again?
So actually, like, it's crazy because this question, it's not a bad question, really, isn't it? You're right. It is simple. I think from a young age, I was always really busy. Like I said before, like I had chess club. I was in band. You know, I was in choir once. I had volleyball, basketball, track, swimming. You know, all these sports. You know, all these extracurricular activities. It was in middle school, so I was younger, obviously, but I was always really busy, and my mom made sure of that. I mean, in the summer, we do summer camps. You know. And I think from a young age, like we would go to church on Saturday, and then when we would come home, we would decompress by watching a movie all together as a family, you know? And I think that also kind of translated to me being like a teenager, you know? I mean, some days, you know, when I was younger and COVID, and I was still not busy, but I still had things, you know, my dad made sure that we were outside every day to, you know, play in the park. Obviously, not around people, but like definitely like going on hikes, that was important. I think, you know, when I was younger, I would actually like try to journal, or I would try, like, there's so many different things I would do, you know, as a young kid, because I like to write, and I would like write, like my 6th grade teacher, like I would write just random stories. Like you'll probably find, like if I go back home, I probably have stories of me like about a polka dot fairy like running around my room. Like I was afraid of ladybugs. I would write, you know, whatever. Now, I mean, actually this summer I tried coloring, and you know, that's really kindergarten, but it actually, I told my dad and I told my brother, I was like, you know, as stupid as that sounds, it helps me.
Leah, I love coloring.
Yeah.
Like, I love coloring.
And what's funny about me though is that I would color half a page, and then I would say I don't like it, and I would do another page. But I do that. I've actually recently, I think baking is something that I love to.
Ooh,
yeah, like
what you baking?
I think a lot of waffles. And some people don't classify that. They would say, oh, well, what about a cake? Like, what about cupcakes, you know, muffins? Like, I made muffins. I wasn't good at that. Rather make waffles. They're easier. And I will make like 20 at a time. Like I will literally.
You're making a batch.
Yeah, like, or pancakes. I will make like 30 of them. But yeah, I mean, that's all part of me trying to decompress, you know. Obviously, like I feel like a lot of people like to like sit in bed and like watch a movie, you know, watch their favorite TV show. That's something I do, but I feel like doing other things like coloring or, you know, just other things like that. Other things like that just help me decompress. You know, I feel like even as a teenager, it kind of feels a little stupid because it's like nobody else is doing this at my age, but it's something that helps me, you know, because like on Wednesday, what I did to help decompress was I did my homework, you know, and like it sounds really weird, like, oh, I'm just saying that, but it's true. I mean, it's true. I was sitting and I did some homework and then I took a shower and I went to sleep.
Ready for bed at that point. Like that's a good point. That's something that happens in college. Like I remember my freshman year, we were saying, I see both sides because obviously homework can be draining, but then I remember being a freshman, it's like, oh, when I sit down to do my homework, it's like my time away from volleyball, especially at the like D1 college level. It's like my day is so much volleyball that my school becomes my escape.
Right.
So I definitely get that. You're not a weirdo. I hear that. But I'm so proud of you and I'm in awe of you and I'm listening to you because everything you just said, baking, like, doing things instead of just being in bed.
Right.
That's a new concept. I try. Like, no, like genuinely, like when I was your age, in high school, my mental health was very interesting.
Yeah.
I was so hard on myself to the point where I know you're a junior now, but this was like, around roughly around the same time. Toward the end of my junior year, though, I started to burn out so bad. So freshman, sophomore year, straight A's, never missed an assignment, 10 out of 10 on the littlest things, everything. Toward my junior year, this was also COVID, but it was like, I couldn't keep up with that anymore.
Right.
And I had no coping skills of resetting, doing things. So my coping skill was sleeping. So take naps, come home after school, take a nap, go to practice, stay up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning doing homework, go to school at 7 in the morning, and then get done at 2, come home, take a nap over and over. And I didn't get out of this routine until college. Because you can't, you physically can't do it in college. You have so I'm so proud of you that you are trying these things and you're like, I'm not good at muffins, I want to do waffles. That's so awesome. But like, seriously, I'm so in awe of you.
Thank you. No, but like I think we've said this before, like we are so similar, like the way we think, you know, like volleyball, like I feel like very like how we think when we play is very similar, you know. And it's crazy because I feel like that is something I feel like it's, for me, it was kind of the opposite, like freshman and sophomore year, or freshman year especially, you know. I had injuries. I mean, I had 2 concussions in a row. You know, I had a concussion the year before, and my grades weren't awful, but they weren't good enough, you know.
What's good enough?
Like, I would say they weren't
where you want them to be.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a good way of putting it. Yeah. But and then sophomore year, you know, I was like, you know, I need to break that habit. And my sophomore year, I kind of changed it, but it was still very like not good enough for me, you know. And I think doing that, like doing what I was just saying, like trying something that'll help me release that stress, because I feel like I put unnecessary pressure on myself. Like obviously, you know, you have, like, I'm a teenager, so my dad, you know, tells me like, hey, like obviously your parents expect more of you, like, because they know that your parents know what you can do, right? But you know, my dad's obviously there like, come on, like you got this, like what's going on, like you need to do this. And I think finding that those things really helps me, especially my mental health, because, you know, like I said, we're very similar in the way we think. And I think what you just said is something that I struggle with a lot, like just but I think that really helped me because my grades really changed. And I think finding a peace between volleyball and school And, like earlier, like when I was talking about like partying and school and other things, that's something that does really help me. But yeah.
I'm actually so glad you brought up our mindset.
Yeah.
We started talking about your mom and
Yeah.
volleyball's there, but I actually did really want to get into specifically volleyball, our mindset.
Yeah.
Again, so similar, just reiterating that.
So similar, yeah.
From our last conversation, I just took some notes about some things that you said that I was like, this is a lot of the same things I felt at your age.
Right.
Like you just feel like you can't get out of your head.
Right.
And like when you play, it's like, I don't know what else. I can't do it. And then I also loved this. It's like people tell me I'm good, but it's like I can't seem to figure it out, or it's like people are giving you so much praise. Like, you're good. You're meant to be here. You're literally the libero. You're literally starting. You're literally whatever it is. And it's like, but I'm off, And then also, this is the biggest one, I think. I love when you said this the other day. It was, I'm playing good or I'm starting, but then, or, oh, this coach is there and they're watching me. I feel like I put pressure on myself, and it's like I have to live up to their expectations. I have to, or supposedly what should be a great opportunity, we not ruin it, but it's like we put this pressure, like, oh, I need to make it this. And I've definitely felt this. Like, I feel this now. If I have a great practice, the next day I come in and I'm like, oh, I had a great practice yesterday. I have to have a good practice again today. Right. I just had a good pass. I just nailed that. I need to do it again. And it's like, it's that I need to, and like I'm clenching my fists right now. It's like this, like I'm tense, I'm tight, and I do it. And I think, I think that's something you also experience.
Yeah. Like, I think a big one, what I said about like, the unnecessary pressure, like people like around me, like, people around me, my coaches, I think it's very important that especially remember that I'm playing, like you told me, remember your why. Like you tell me that. I actually took a sports psychology class.
Love that.
Yeah. So shout out to Mr. Cheney, my high school sports psych teacher. Yeah, he was a big help. But I think you and him like say the similar things that I need to hear.
Well, then remember your why. Dr. Chad.
Yeah.
But
like those people that tell you and you but remembering your why, especially like when like those days of practice, where like how you play, like your best, and you go and practice, and afterward you're like, what was that? And then you go the next day and you have a similar like experience, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's 2 days in a row,
Yep.
And it's so difficult. But I think a good thing is just remembering, you're not giving up after 2 times of shanking a ball, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. Like, I think it's very important to, and it's hard to say. It's hard to be so like,
incredibly
get
hard.
Out of your head. Like, as soon as you shank a pass, and then you get that like free ball, and you like pass it the wrong like direction or whatever, and you're like, what the heck? And then your coach is like, not get out of your head, but they're like, one of my club coaches, like he would always tell us like, I don't know why you guys are in your head. Like, get out of your head.
Just get out.
And it's so hard for you.
How?
It's so hard for someone to say that.
Yes.
But you can't do it.
Yes. I felt like in club a lot, like my parents, coaches, they would always tell me like, Liv, you look like you're thinking about the last mistake. And yeah, it happened. But then on the days, maybe this even happens to me now. I'm pretty sure it does. But it's like, I'm not thinking about that last mistake. Right. I'm still trying to play, but I'm still bothered by the last mistake.
Right.
It's like, and they would say, Liv, you're still thinking about it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. And
yeah.
But they're like, but you're in your head. And I'm like, I know, but I don't know how to get out. And it's like, it's not because I'm thinking about the past, maybe, but it's still like, I still have that feeling like, oh, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
So I think again, I'm not going to be like, oh, this is how you get out of it, because I'm obviously still doing it, and it's an ongoing process as you age and get to different levels. But it's like, man, it's like, what is going to be helpful to me? I think that Dr. Chad said this to me, and it's like, okay, like I should get past, and it's like, okay, I'm a good passer. I can do this. I got this. But then it's like, I say, I got this. But I'm still shanking. Shank. I got this. Shank. And it's like, so then Dr. Chad actually said, okay, well, what's going to be more helpful? And I was like, okay, what does that mean? He said, well, what's going to physically help you get a better pass? What is it? Watching the ball longer, early arms, and those like physical keys that take me out of my head and thinking about internal thoughts, make me look outside and think about the game, are things that I'm still playing with now, but have helped me. Instead of I know I can pass, I know I'm a good passer, but why can't I do this? Also, another thing, I do this a lot. I go, why can't I do it? I did it yesterday. Why can't I do it again today? Why? Yeah. But it's like, instead of questioning it, just be like, okay, early arms.
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Simple.
Right. And I think something we have in common is like, our brains go to the very complex. Not our fault, because we analyze. And I also think it's because we're deep thinkers. We've had things happen in our lives that make us think or search for meaning behind things. Like, so it's like, okay, of course I'm going to think about it. That's just my nature, which took me so long to get to. Like, I'm like, oh, why do I overthink? Why can't I just be basic and simple and not question everything I think about? But it's like, now I'm at a point, that's just who I am. Yeah. And it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that I agree. And I think I remember our conversation, I think we had this a while ago, where there's this open gym, you know. I think it was a while ago, but I went in there and I just had fun, you know. I didn't think about it. And I told you, I was like, you know, Libby, like, I don't even know, like, last practice I was so awful, like I feel like I couldn't serve receive, and then all of a sudden, like, I went to this open gym and I didn't think anything. Like, I was like, just have fun. And you were like, you know, that's so crazy, because the same thing happened to me, you know, the other day during practice. I was literally I didn't think anything, and I literally did really good. And I was like, literally the same thing. Same thing. And you know, that's something really important to remember, is that we overthink, and especially me. Like, I feel like I think there's a lot of people in the world of sports that always, like, I feel like everybody has their own internal battles. Obviously, I mean, like I said, I took that sports psych class, and my teacher would literally show me videos of professional athletes who would question themselves. Like, you're at that elite, highest level of your sport, and you're still questioning if you can do, like, if you can, like, serve a ball, like a tennis ball, or like shoot a basketball. Like, it's just crazy to me. Like, everybody deals with their own, like, struggles, but especially like us too, I feel like, you have to be very, just remember, like, simple, like you said, like, not, oh my God, get my platform there, and then I have to take a few steps. Like especially like today during practice, I was like questioning myself, because I was like, okay, I have to be early, like, I can't be late, and then and I shanked the pass, and my team was able to get over. I was like, oh my God, like, I made a mistake, and then we lost the point. I was like, okay, I'm here again. Simple, just pass it. You know how to do this. And look at that. It was a good pass. And I was like, okay, there we go.
Simpler is better.
Simple, yeah. But I think that's very important for me to remember. And, you know, anybody who's listening, you know, if that works for you, I mean, there's obviously different ways people, you know, deal with their own things. But it's, like, for me, especially, keep it simple, you know?
I love that. And I think this kind of played with my identity a little bit. Just because I was like, simple, like, and to my core, I know I'm kind of a complex person. Like, there's layers to me. I have a lot of different areas, a lot of different music I like, a lot of different, you know, and when I was like, simple, I don't know how to be simple. And but now I can say, like, yeah, I can be serious. We can have these deep conversations, but
Yeah.
then we can do both.
Yeah.
Two things can be true at the same time. We can be
Yeah.
over analyzing complex, but then we can also be F it.
Yeah, like
Let's have fun.
yeah,
we can
like
be whatever.
right, yeah.
So we can do both. Like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. And I think
Yeah.
that's another thing. Just remind ourselves,
Yeah,
I guess, as
yeah.
we're talking about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Leah, I kind of already asked you
Uh-huh.
how do you decompress? Which
Right.
is my core question. How do you feed your soul?
Right.
Which I love how this has gone, how this has flowed.
Uh-huh.
I feel like we've hit a lot of awesome things.
Right.
Is there anything else you want to talk about? You want to tell me, share it with the listeners?
I think another good, I don't know. I mean, we want to talk about injuries.
Oh yeah. Leah and I both have had concussions.
Yeah.
And coming back from that is a very interesting process.
Very. I feel like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's very weird because, I mean, I think the brain is very important. Like, it's super important. I think, I mean, obviously, like an ACL tear or a meniscus or your Achilles, like that, those are all like your shoulder, your back. Like, there's so many different muscles, tendons, bones.
Yeah,
I mean,
parts of your body.
Yeah, there's so many different areas that you could injure, you know, and I think the brain is a serious thing.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
Everything you just named, you can tangibly see.
Yeah.
It's very physical.
Right.
So when your brain is injured, it's like, it's literally like mental health. It's
right.
Like you can't see it, but it's like, I'm supposed to take care of this. I can't see it. I don't know how. For me, when I had my concussion, it was also a mix of, this was my freshman year and it happened halfway through season.
Yeah.
And this was a couple months after my dad passed away. And after my dad passed away, I had to pick up and move to Vegas and start D1 volleyball life.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have a chance to grieve. So I think it is fair to say, looking back, my process was prolonged because I was dealing with my concussion. I probably could have come back sooner from my concussion, but I think I really did need a break.
Yeah.
In general, for my health overall.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to come back. But I think the tough thing with me was you can't tell, like with an ACL, there's like a set plan, like 6 to 8 months, or I've never torn it, so don't quote me on this, but there's exercises you can do.
Right.
And yes, now there's more exercises, vestibular training or those types of things, but you really can't see your brain forming a scab or whatever it is.
Shake. It's what a concussion is. I think, you know, the brain.
A little shake.
Yeah. Like you can't. That's good point.
I like that. It's like, so I think that's what is so, and I like things that are tangible that I can see.
Yeah.
So for me, and I have a really hard time articulating what I need from people, or like, hey, can you help me with this?
Yeah.
So when it's my health, it's my brain, it's like, hey, how does that feel? And I'm someone that can just, it's fine, I'll push through it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It should be fine, but then I didn't really know when not fine was.
Yeah.
So I had a really hard time deciding if, okay, is this concussion or is this me trying to get out of something, like, or is this me grieving? Is this me having a hard day? Is this me being out of shape because I haven't played volleyball in so long?
Right.
And then so there's that aspect coming back from that. And I think you experience this a little bit more, but let's talk about this is so real, but like fear of playing, coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that for you.
Yeah. So actually my story is really interesting because when somebody asks you, like, how many concussions do you have? My answer is 5.
5.
So
how old are you again?
I'm 16.
Okay, girl.
So, you know, I think part of playing with those 5 concussions really, you know, takes a toll. And I think like we're when we're playing, we have to be simple, you know, and part of that, like, fear is always there, like, especially for me. And I'm young, you know, like young. So like,
yes, you are.
Yeah, I'm young. So like, it's very hard for me to, like, I'm playing, trying to become better. And I can't get better if I overcome that fear, you know? I mean, the way I got hurt was unique. Like, it wasn't specifically from playing volleyball. Like, I think you were actually playing volleyball and you got hit in the face. Mine weren't. But I'm still afraid, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of them weren't technically considered concussions, but I had to get, like, staples. Like, my head was bleeding. And I would, sorry.
Why are you sorry?
No, I just burned. I just burned.
It's okay. I was like, why are you sorry you got staples in your head?
No. I'm just a kid, you know, banging my head on a trunk of a car or the countertop, you know.
Oh, you know, as kids do.
But then the actual, like, the 3 concussions that were actually from the doctor, like, the first one was because somebody punched me in the face. And no, it wasn't because I got in a fight. It's because we were running lines and she literally touched the line and went. And
oh my gosh, thank you for elaborating and explaining that. Because I was like, you did not tell me about that, but okay.
No, yeah. So that was the first time. That was the first technical, like, concussion.
Diagnosed.
Yeah. But I would count those 2, the other 2. I feel like.
Okay.
Whatever. But so 3.
You've taken a lot of hits to the head, little girl.
So the 4th time, or the second technical, like, medical concussion, I got domed. So somebody passed it and it hit me square in the face. And this, mind you, this was about 5 or 6 months after the first medical, like, diagnosed concussion. So it wasn't that, like, 5 months isn't that long.
No, it's not.
What's even crazier is that, so fast forward 3 months. 3 months. Literally my second tournament of my club season for 15s. I was in the huddle and somebody served it at the back of my head and I got concussed. And that's 3 concussions in 2 years.
Yeah.
And I was devastated because I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm out. So my second medical diagnosed concussion, I really didn't have that chance to heal because I went straight from volleyball to basketball. And, you know, basketball is very, like, aggressive, you know,
a little bit more physical than volleyball.
Right. And, you know, I was very afraid, especially basketball was like, oh my gosh. But I think after that 3rd concussion, medically diagnosed concussion, it was hard. Like, after that was so hard for me because the neurologist I had to go see, she recommended that I take a little break. Now, my dad made a decision for me that I took, like, a 4-month break off of volleyball. And that was really hard for me because I didn't know what to do. Like,
you've said it yourself so many times. You're an active person.
Yeah, like, I like once in a while, you know, like, the other day I was literally, like, downtime is all in, like, laying in bed, you know, needing that, like, recharging because it's hard. It is hard. Like, it's really hard. Like I admire you so much because I know that D1 volleyball is such, like, it's like home. Like, I don't know how you do it. Like, that's crazy. It's like, I'm like, wow, Livy, you're strong. But, like, either.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's like, it's crazy. But, like, you guys are, it's insane. But, you know, it's just hard for me not to play a sport. And after that, those 4 months, like, I did not play a sport. Like, I couldn't even work out for 2 months.
That's so tough.
Because I literally couldn't do anything because it was insane. Like, I would run and my head would hurt. Or I would, like,
and let's like, literally go back to the earlier part of the episode. You were literally running when your mom passed away. So that running is really helpful for you. Yeah, like, running actually, like, as much as I hate it, and I've told people, I've said this before, that I hate running. Like, I told someone that I know, I told him, I said, look, I respect you for playing basketball because I hate running. I've told many people, like, some of my volleyball friends, like, I don't know how you do it. Like, I hate it. I will literally, like, jog and I'll be like, but it helps me. I mean, like, it is what it is. But, like, it was just so rough because, like, having a concussion, like, you can't
it's like having an injury, you can't lie and say, oh, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Especially a concussion, because
That's your brain.
It in the long term.
Yes. You get one brain.
Right.
That's how it was for me too. So when I got my concussion, I had been out for some time. I got it around Halloween, but it was like November during this time. Actually, it was my birthday. But the team was traveling, I wasn't. And I went to the student rec to do a little lift because I was like, I have to do something. I had the worst headache after, but I was like, at least I moved my body. And it was like, again, probably shouldn't have done that, whatever. But I understand that completely.
Yeah. But it's tough because having a concussion is like crazy, and me having like 3.
So many in that span of time is that is crazy.
And it's really bad because I have this unique talent of it's not supposed to be good, so I shouldn't call it a talent, but if I have a headache, I know exactly what it is. Like, because I've had so many.
Like, what do you mean by that?
So like if my head hurts right now and there's a certain type of pain to each headache. Isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that insane? So like if I need to drink water, it's a certain part of my head that hurts.
You can feel it.
Yes. Or if my, like I didn't put in my retainers in, it's certain part of my brain hurts. Like a certain part of my head hurts. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Fun fact about me. I literally I told my dad that, and he's like, that's not good. I'm like, I know it is. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying, isn't that crazy?
Have superpowers.
Yeah. So, but yeah, headaches are the worst. I hate headaches. But yeah, so
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, crazy. But back to the whole like volleyball thing. I've actually gotten hit in the face a couple of times after that. Like during tryouts, I got hit in the face, and that was rough, and I was scared, like really scared, And what's ironic, or not ironic, but it's crazy because we're like the same position.
Yes.
Like we are liberos and defensive specialists.
Yes.
And our job is to get balls that are literally supposed to be directed to the ground. Like,
being swung at you. Someone's going up there hitting the absolute out of the ball, and their goal is to put it through the floor.
Right. And
you're supposed to be there to say, nope, I'm going to put my body in front of it.
Right.
I would love telling people this. And then now I'm at the level where it's like, well, no, because the block is supposed to get that. But no, you're the last line of defense.
Yeah.
You're putting your body in front of that ball that's being like
slammed.
Yeah.
And I mean, like at my level, there's girls who just like
ball shots.
Yeah, but like there's like girls like your level are just like, I'm gonna get that. Or, like
even the phase I'm about to enter after this, when I play in adult leagues.
Right.
Adult men.
Yeah.
Even our practice player, like Daryl, he's gonna be on this podcast at some point. When he goes up, I'm like,
yeah, there we go.
Up.
Let's go. Like,
let's try.
Yeah, but like people rip it, like it's crazy. But it's hard. It's really hard. Like when I'm doing privates, especially with my brother, it's hard because my brother is like crazy insane. Like this kid is so talented. My brother's so talented. He's the same position as us, and he will literally pick up anything. And it's intimidating, but it's crazy because our coach can just swing it at him, and he'll just be like, well,
this is something you mentioned this earlier, like being so full of fear, like in sport. This sport, especially our position, we say this in our gym, like you have to be fearless.
Right.
And it's like, how do you be fearless with, like, how do you be fearless?
Right.
Like,
it's crazy. And not sorry for
interrupting,
but
continue.
I'm just like, it's crazy because like, especially for me, it's easier said than done. It's easier said than done, obviously, but it's crazy because for me, one more and that's it. I can't play any sports. Like that's it. Like people joke like all the time, like, well, you can play golf, and then they'll say like, well, Leah will find a way to get hit in the face with a golf club or a golf ball or something. I mean, they're not wrong, but it's like it's crazy not playing volleyball. Like if I can't even imagine, like I couldn't last 4 months not playing volleyball. And yeah, like part of that fear is just like always knowing like, oh my gosh, if I get hit in the head,
be done.
Right.
Like I remember you were you would tell me like, oh, I'm scared like to get hit again.
Right.
And that's valid. It's like,
Uh-huh.
okay, like sometimes you just gotta push through, like
Yeah.
you're gonna get hit. But then for you it's a little different because it's like, no, like this is a real thing. Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
And like something that my dad reminded me was I cannot let that fear control me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like he made an example of like driving. Like a lot of people don't think about it like that, but you're literally putting your own life in your hands. I mean, driving is so dangerous. Like it's not like speed racing, like you're literally like going, but it's not. It's safe, but it's like, you know what I'm trying to say.
I see where you're going
right?
with it. It's like you're getting in a car, you're getting into a machine, right? You're controlling it somewhat, but then there's throw in other people, other cars, all these other things,
right?
People walking. So it's like, yeah, it's playing your sport. You have other people you're playing with. Essentially, if you were to break it down, very simple terms, it's dangerous. Anything we do in life is dangerous. But you got to find a way to not let it paralyze you,
right?
Because it's something you love to do,
right?
Yeah.
No, and I agree. Like it's hard. It is hard. It's super hard because like even today at practice, like there's these girls that like we were playing an older team and they're really good, and I was intimidated because I'm like, oh my god, like some of these girls can literally hit 10-foot. Like they're really tall, and I'm a libero. Like we said, like our job is that ball cannot and will not hit the ground. Like, and it's crazy because like there's these girls and I'm like, oh my god, like that there's still that little voice that's just like, Leah, one more, like don't get hit in the face, you know? And like it's hard because me, especially on the defensive side of my position, like it's crazy because I'm like looking at the hitter and I'm like some hit, it's only like crazy hitters that I know can hit me in the face. I mean, I can literally get hit in the face right now by a bird. Like I don't know, like whatever. But like I put myself at risk every day. I mean, like you just my point is just like you can't let that control you, because at that point, like if I just keep thinking that, then do I really love that sport if I'm going in there with fear, you know? But you know, obviously that's my internal struggle. I mean, some people probably like it's just hard to recover from an injury, you know? And I think ours is definitely like mine, especially just like getting hit in the face again and never playing volleyball again. Like that's hard to cope with. But at the same time, like putting that in like God's hands, like for me, that's something like to like putting that in God's hands, like whatever happens, you know? I come to practice and I have to remember that, and I have to remind myself like, whatever happens on that court and whenever I leave, I thank God because I did not get hit in the face, or I did not like pass out or hit my head on the floor. Like obviously I'm silly, and like a few days ago I did like dive and hit my head on the floor. But like it happens. But yeah, just that's something that's really important that I have to remember. But
I love that. I really do love that. I seriously can't thank you enough for being here.
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Thank you
I like talking
so much. I love listening to you, and I love
yes, my very amazing life. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This
oh my gosh, thank you.
Literally crazy. Like
thank you for sharing your story and like thank you so much. I seriously had a loss for words.